What's up, gamers? I'm back once again to talk about another hot topic button, not the hot topic button issue. This time, Game Awards. We hate them, we love them. We don't think Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree should be nominated for Game of the Year. I think there's a lot to talk about with this. I don't want to go over a lot of things in massive detail because I personally think that it's wrong to have a DLC in Game of the Year. I also think that how the Game Awards is currently set up, not from a perspective of its advertising or how it releases trailers for games and shows off new content for the public. I don't think how it presents advertising to the public is the issue, because I personally think using the Game Awards as a marketing spectacle is a very smart move, not only to keep the Game Awards healthy financially, but also to make sure that people are seeing the developers of these games as people rather than as this conglomerate mass. We need the people to be watching it to get them in. You need some trailers and you need some announcements that act as a lure, let's say. I do think that how the Game Awards acts within its structure does need to change. Personally, I don't think that how the categories are set up right now are indicative of how games are made. Or at the very least, I don't feel like it fully represents how the public perceives and how, especially non-game developers perceive the creation of games. We'll see something like Best Game Direction, and most people will go, well, what is different from that for Best Game of the Year? It's very similar in lines to Best Game Direction is Best Director. It's who did the best job at making this game. And it's much more deeper than that, because it's not just game direction, it's a team effort. We're not, games are made by like hundreds of people for these big ones, and that requires a very different skill set in creating a game than something like Hollow Knight Silksong, which is a game currently, I would say, in development hell, but it was going to look amazing. And I struggle to see how under Best Game Direction something like Hollow Knight Silksong could be nominated, because from a directing point of view, it's all over the fucking place, and it's clearly not met the multiple standards that it's set for itself, both in quality and in timing. At the same time, I do think there needs to be a category like Best Game Direction encompasses, because we need to validate how a creative lead manages the game. But I don't think that Best Game Direction is the best way to do that, because it's almost as if it's giving authorship to a single creative figure, which is very hard for me to wrap my head around, especially on something as so collaborative as a video game. In film, there's more leeway because of how powerful one person's voice can be. We'll see someone like Alfred Hitchcock have such a powerful visual style, and that is through him and through the teams he works with. With a game director, there isn't that singular voice. We're not going to see one game director for a massive AAA budget game like whoever worked on the Spider-Man games have that distinctive style continue into anything they do after it. There are always outliers. Someone like Hideo Kojima has a very distinctive style. We see that with how he switched from Metal Gear to Death Stranding, but I still don't think in terms of Best Game Direction, Hideo Kojima is someone that you can really push to stand out to be an amazing auteur game maker. I think he's more of a figurehead for the creation of games, rather than that this idea of the film auteur being put into video game form. And I think that's the preconception that the Game Awards struggles with. It desperately wants to be the Oscars for video games, and in doing that, it's losing a lot of what makes video games unique. We're seeing stuff like Best Narrative and Best Art Direction and Best Score and Music, and all of these line up very easily to awards in film. And I think it comes down to, at the end, Best Performance. We'll see a lot of the time Best Performance go to, characters and actors that are in big story-based games, and specifically ones that are very prestige. I'm looking at the list here. Final Fantasy VII, Life is Strange, Star Wars Outlaws, which is Silent Hill 2, Senua's Saga. We're seeing these story games that have a lot of work go into motion capture and into voice work, but we're not seeing a lot of the actual voice work that goes into a video game. Where is the best ensemble? You know, I played Dragon Age Veilguard recently, and there are a lot of voice actors in that give brilliant performances and really make the world feel grounded outside of the main cast. The main cast is great. I think all of them do a great job, but there are characters in every location that have little lines of dialogue and speak that really make you feel like this is a great world. Where is this best ensemble that really shows off the talent of an entire voice cast, rather than picking out, yes, that's the one. Yes, that's the one. I love Laura Bailey, and she deserved the award for The Last of Us 2, but, you know, you're ignoring a lot of the additional voices, characters, and voice actors that make up video games, and I genuinely do think that it's limiting. You know, we'll see bullshit categories like Best Community Support that are just awards to give to whatever big company isn't gonna go win an award, you know. Like, it's a throwaway to let like a game say like, oh yes, I won a game award. What was it? Oh, it was Best Community Support. Like, it's a valid thing, and it's probably the only award out of all of them that is actually representative of the actual video gaming experience, because video games crash, especially multiplayer games have lots of bugs and issues, and a good community support team really helps push the developers and the players into reaching some sort of compromise. But it's like the only one I can see on here that does this. So we got like Best Mobile Game, Best VR Game. Where are the categories that actually matter to the people who make the game? Where are the best design teams? Where are the best, you know, programming teams? Let's take a look into the actual code for some of these games and see who wrote this the most functional, who's done this in the best way. That's insane. There's probably a programmer out there who's like, oh, that's the most ridiculous thing. Every single program is a complete amalgam mess. But you get the idea. I don't want to be seeing bullshit categories like, you know, where is it? Fucking Best Action Game. I don't give a flying fuck about the best action game, quite frankly, because you're not going to pick like an actual choice for this that matters. You're going to pick the one that's either up for Game of the Year, like Black Myth Wukong, or one that you feel like you have to give to a studio. You know, we're seeing Helldivers 2 up for Sony, Stellar Blade up for Sony, Call of Duty up for Xbox, and then the wildcard one of Warhammer 40k, you know, which again is behind Focus Entertainment, which itself is not a small company. So it's a lot of, to me, it feels like a lot of politicking, you know, and we'll never see like a fighting game. Like Tekken 8, I've heard is a fairly good fighting game. Why isn't that up? Why aren't we limiting ourselves to, oh, best action game, we can only pick one of these for Game of the Year, Black Myth Wukong. Best action adventure game, we can only pick one of these, Astrobot. Best RPG, we can only pick one of these, Final Fantasy VII. Best fighting game, Tekken. Best family game? That's a fucking category. But, you know, like, why is it these best game awards always end up being the same fucking bullshit? It's always the same types of games. Where is something like XCOM 2? You know, why isn't that? I mean, there's no XCOM 2 this year, but why aren't games like that ever put up onto these lists? It's always the same action shooty adventure, make your own choices, you know, go into this room, click this door, and then we'll seamlessly transition to a cutscene as we have some of the most best and most renowned voice actors act their hearts out through motion capture performance of this incredibly heartbreaking scene, you know. Instead, like, we could have something like Frostpunk 2 up there, which I can see is up for the Sim strategy game, or Manor Lords, a massive game from this year, which isn't even technically released because it's in early access. There's just a level of disconnect, I feel, from all award shows and what is actually a representation of the art. The Oscars does this. The Oscars does this as well, but it's something that you would hope Jeff Keighley and the Game Awards would look at what they're doing wrong and change it. And it just seems to me that they don't want to change it. They want to become it. They want to be the Oscars for the video gaming industry. And it's working, quite frankly. You know, we'll get the controversy about how these games are not represented fairly, but we're talking about it. I'm talking about it. I've been thinking about it. But yeah, it's just tiring. I feel like a lot of the issue is the Game Awards aren't what people hoped for. It's been a decade now. They've had a lot of time to iron out the kinks and the bugs of how they set up their show and how they're doing it. And, you know, we have these bullshit awards like most anticipated game and best esports game, which is like, how is that different from best ongoing game? Well, you need to have two different categories so we can give League of Legends or Dota the award on top of giving like Honkai or Fortnite the award. And it's tiring. I don't wish for a new award show either. I'm not looking for a new like dipshit fucko to come in and be like, oh, this is the new Game Awards. I want the Game Awards to change to better represent a full spectrum of games. I don't want best indie game. Like, you know, we have two indie game categories, best debut indie game and best independent game. That is insane. Why are you having two of these categories? Like, it's just ridiculous. I want them to be better, and I feel like it's just bubbled over with Shadow of the Erdtree. And my biggest worry is, because I watched Skill Up's video about it, and he just brushes over it. He moves right past it very quickly, and he says he's on the voting panel, and I 100% think he voted for Shadow of the Erdtree to be on these lists. And I think until we get to a point where people see the issue with, you know, the people making the decisions around this stuff see the issue with having a DLC like Shadow of the Erdtree be put up for an award, it's not going to change, and we're not going to be getting games that deserve the spotlight up on these things. We're never going to see when Civ 7 comes out next year, a game I'm really looking forward to. Might suck ass, probably will, but it won't even be in the consideration from Game of the Year because of the type of game it is. You know, we're only going to get the games that these voters think should be on the list. And it's not whether or not they deserve to be on it, it's what they think should be on it. And that really makes me sad. And I think that's as much as I can say because I need a drink. I'm feeling ill. Arcane Season 2, right? God. That's going to win Best Adaptation. I thought Fallout was in for a good shot, but having watched all of Season 2 of Arcane now, like, there's no way that doesn't win, right? Oh my god. Okay, that's me. I hope you enjoy whatever you're doing. Have a good day. You're probably all left. Like, only 15% of people make it to the end of these types of videos. But if you did, great job. Thank you. Please subscribe. Have a great time. Why wasn't Stormgate up for Best Sim Game? I wonder.